Hello and welcome, not to Your Business, Your Wealth. Welcome to Sound Financial Group. We have rebranded both the YouTube channel and all of our podcasts to Sound Financial Group. So if you go to the old episodes, you're going to see all of our Your Business, Your Wealth stuff, but we are looking to bring you new and fresh content in slightly different formats, including our episode today, likely to be one of our most controversial and definitely the most controversial under the new brand. More to come on that in a moment, but who's joining me is a man that you usually know as a man who is the boy in blue, so much so that clients meet with him and say, you're not wearing a blue shirt today, because they see him with blue on the podcast all the time. So he is actually wearing a shirt. A lot of people don't know this, much like those 1990s digital paintings. If you stare and let your eyes go out of focus for long enough, you will see a pterodactyl coming out of his shirt.
The pterodactyl over here. There's a dolphin. Yeah, it's great. Well, no, this is in honor of our slightly different format. Corey thought he'd show up in a slightly different format.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Sure.
Well,
I thought that's what you were talking about. For,
the controversy?
Like, the controversy of this episode.
No,
but I guess you're right. That's probably not what is going to be the most controversial thing. But please put a comment below if you think.
It is really fun. Put your guess in about what we're going to cover that's so controversial before we get to it. I'll give you a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you haven't made your comment yet, then I'm going to give you the spoiler. So we're going to talk about Elon Musk, his AI girlfriend he's trying to hide, and absolute proof that he is a child trafficker and engaged in slavery. Absolute, just tight as a drum. Proof that he has got all these bad things going on. Now, of course, we're laughing. And the thing is, we're going to show you something today, and we have no idea if it's true or not. But
it's crazy.
But what we're introducing you to is how much we are not going to know what is true or not as years go forward, and how does that impact our finances? How does it impact our investing? Anything else you want them to know before we share it with them?
So this is, these guys are a little weird, and they're writing some weird stuff to Elon Musk, supposedly, and he's writing some weird stuff back. So just be prepared for that. And this is one of the few that I might say, like, if you're listening with your kid around, like, you can make a choice. It's not
Fair.
Crazy for most adults, but it might be disturbing for some children. So just
fair.
keep that in mind.
We're almost always family. And we will try to be friendly going forward. All right, here we go. So starts with, we DM'd Elon Musk. We're going to watch it in its entirety and then come back to it. So if you're listening to the podcast, there it is quite audibly entertaining as well.
DM'd Elon Musk and he actually answered. We know about your AI girlfriend.
How?
We felt...
Oh, it was uncomfortable.
I'm going to be real. We were sending absurd DMs to celebrities for an episode of our show. This got really weird, though. We'll leave you alone.
Then he unsends all of his messages.
You two are morons. The proof is gone.
But we already took screenshots. How much?
We didn't know what he was talking about.
How much money do you guys want to make this go away?
Sean and I don't give a shit about money. At this point, we were just ignoring him.
He's a weirdo and a loser.
We thought about blocking him, but we just didn't want to hurt his feelings, right?
I didn't care, but Aiden said we should.
And then he sent us a voice memo.
Is it women you guys want? Or is it men? I could get you boys real human beings that you would own. I have a slave guy.
So then we said, dude, why are you making this more incriminating for yourself?
You guys are dumber than you look, LOL. You can't screenshot a voice memo, which is true.
And then we sent him the screen recording. And then he unsent all the messages again.
He said, fine, whatever, goodbye.
We ignored it. 4 days later, he said, hey. We DM'd Elon.
All right. So here is kind of our arching meta point about this whole thing. We did no research to know if that's real or not. Zero research into the content creators that created it.
I don't know at all.
Came up in my feed, and when I saw it, what hit me was, we have no idea if it's accurate or not. And as a result, we are going to run into much, much more stuff. The deep fake and the AI deep fake stuff is getting better and better and better, and putting people in a position that here he is, the CEO of a publicly traded company being shown that he's doing something that's inappropriate, which could be, obviously, those could all be fake screenshots. It could just be a piece of comedy. There might be even something in the comments of that video that just says, hey, this is just a joke. We did so little research, we didn't even open up the comments. That's what I want to make the point to you guys. Like, zero commentary on whether or not this is accurate.
So many people do, right? Like that, the court of public opinion happens outside of the comments before. I mean, eventually it happens in the comments, but people will just watch the thing and go. So we just wanted to simulate that experience and send it to 20 people, 100 people. Yeah.
Yep. And so over the coming years, until we figure out how to deal with the fact that you can, here's the thing, there is software right now. You all may not know this. There is software out there right now where we can go in and edit this podcast, including the video. And if I said something I didn't mean to say, we can put in the word that I wanted to say, and it will change my mouth to be the new word I typed in on the video of me saying something totally different. And if we can do that with me, and some of you have seen the funny deep fake stuff where it's like Joe Biden, President Obama, and Donald Trump all playing like Call of Duty or something. It's just, and of course, those are fun and silly, but we won't know if they're real or not. Now, here's the kind of funny thing. There are all kinds of things that are quote unquote real that we also shouldn't treat as true when it comes to our investing. So for instance, somebody says, the Fed is doing XYZ and therefore put all your money in gold. Now, the Fed XYZ, but what could be inaccurate and is actually more likely to be inaccurate than accurate is the prognostication that comes after with a prescription of what you ought to do with your time, money, resources, right? And so when somebody says the Fed is doing X and you should do this, we want to go back to principles, want to go back to philosophy. Like, well, wait a second. What does my philosophy say about investing? Well, in investing, if we believe that free markets work, then what is going to happen is that if this is accurate and Elon Musk doesn't defend himself, then it's going to damage him and his company and may get him ejected as CEO. Or it's nothing and nothing happens. But in either of those cases, to trade ahead of it would be nonsense, because there's no one out there that's been able to prove that if I have X news on a CEO and then I do this trade, it works out well for my finances, my overall rate of return. And nor does it even just subscribe or prescribe to us when we would get back into the market or what we should get into instead. You see this free market investing. Go ahead, Corey.
Well, also when we're looking at these prognosticators and looking at the news, remember that if you saw, I don't know, they said the stock market went down because the Fed raised interest rates, or the stock market went down because this company went under a lawsuit by the federal government, or this, we don't know that thing caused the market to go down. All we do know for sure is that a journalist saw the market go down and saw a thing they thought was negative and put them together in a news story. But there's actually no evidence that was the one thing that caused the market to go down. That's always an after the fact assessment, just like when the market goes up and we make up a reason for why it did. So even the thing that just happened, you can't say that that's necessarily the reason why.
You're exactly right. And what it leads us to is we don't want to be trading or investing based upon what we see in the news. In part, stock prices already have a lot of information built in. Like let's say there's a news story that's 90% going to break one way, 10% it's going to break another way, and it's going to impact one company's stock. That probability is already priced in. And it may shift further depending on the outcome. Yes,
Right.
it's priced in months before. It's getting priced in before everybody in the market even knows about it. And when something is not true, it's not priced in. Or if it's so new and you're like on Twitter and see it, there are people that all they're doing is watching for certain news that attracts certain industries, and they are attempting to trade on it as quickly as possible. And if you remember from our past podcast where we talk about market timing, they are about zero likely to outperform the market, or as at least the real probability is, about 25% of them will perform in the top 25% because it's that random. Doesn't matter how close they're watching it. It's only like 25% to perform in the top 25%. And if you did that for 5 years and then only took the people that finished in the top 25% and then watched them for the next 5 years, it's 23% to finish above their peers again. So what we want all of you to take into this new future as the first podcast under this new brand of Sound Financial Group as the podcast brand is that you can't do trading and speculation based upon what you see in the news, even less so as we go into the future, because what will be on the news or in your news feeds might be more accurate is fake. It's actually fake news. Now, not in the political sense of like, hey, that's fake news because I don't like it. By the way, both sides have said that very openly. The side most credited with saying it wasn't who said it first. So they've both been saying it. And I can say both because here in the United States, it's mainly a two-party system. That news is fake across the board when it comes to how to arrange your finances. Certain types of news may be factual and accurate. Let me give you an example. Corey, is having your bank deposits under the FDIC limit important? Not just right now, but all the time.
Sure.
Yeah. Now,
absolutely.
When we see that there's bank failures, that has people go, oh my gosh, I have $400,000 in the bank. I'm only protected to $250,000. But that's not new news that would have you say, oh, I should be under the FDIC limits. It should just be news that reminded you of a principle you should be following.
Right.
That's the difference. Now, if the news is reminding you of a principle that you've been breaking, like not being above the FDIC limits, that's a good thing for the news to prompt us to go deeper into. But when the news, what is on the news, causes you to break a principle, like I'm going to trade individual stocks, or I don't like what this country is doing, I'm going to take them totally out of my portfolio. Or I think real estate is not going to do well, so I'm going to take all REITs out of my portfolio. That is a sophisticated version of market timing and stock trading called tactical asset allocation, which is like, hey, I'm not just betting on an individual stock. No. Just the sector of my pie is moving. That's all. Just and it's tactical.
Yeah.
It's there's a saying in kind of the gun community that guys will go out and be tactical, which is what they try to have. They've got like the 511 cargo pants with the logo on it and like some shirt that's, like from Leopold, a Glock hat that is tactical. Right. But this tactical asset management also is useless. Useless, according to the academics that study it, that even changing that market sector requires that you be right. You have to be right at the time you go into it, and you have to be right at the time that you go out of it. And you have to do that so many times over a career of growing that it's not going to work out because it's a coin flip. It's not going to work out more than 50% of the time. And that would be a good outcome as if it happened 50% of the time that it worked out. So as we go into the future, what you're going to be seeing is not reliable. You will see video where it looks dead on that this person is in the wrong or this person is in the right. But everybody saw pictures online and the internet of fake stuff already, maybe as a joke, but it's going to fool the news outlets too. You will see 100% fake stories getting reported on Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, because they have all built the habit of not needing to rush a story because they need to get the clicks and the views. And they're not doing the proper amount of investigation before something runs with the idea of like, oh, we can correct it, which has maybe been true because they could do that up until now. But the amount of fabricated video, the amount of fabricated photos that are going to start rolling out because anybody can do it on their computer at home is not what you want to use to make your financial or investing decisions. Make sure you have a good coach. If you're not working with us, I would suggest us. We're great at what we do. And I want you to know that that is not bias whatsoever, just because I like Corey and his shirt selection. But if it's not us, it should be somebody that you can have, that you can reach out to say, hey, I'm reading about this. Is that something I need to think about? And if what they're doing is giving you additional context and understanding so that you understand the situation better, great. If you're getting sold a product every time you ask a question like that, not great. You might need a different coach, but you need somebody to be like your internal controls, like at a company before money gets sent out somewhere. There's somebody's like, is that a legit payment? Like, we should check that. And that's what you can use your advisor and coach for, is like, hey, should I sell my rental properties that are cash flowing right now because I hear real estate's going to go down? And let that advisor help you think it through so you get away from the emotion of whatever the news story was, whether it's accurate or not. Accurate news stories can lead to just as much financial devastation as fake ones.
So I got another. Oh, go ahead. Finish that.
Please.
Well, fake news will move prices in the markets. Like, it's going to happen because it's going to get reported. Everyone's like, enough people are going to think it's real for some period of time that they're going to do something that's going to impact prices in the markets. But here's why you don't have to worry about that. You know, what are the chances, like theoretically, fake news that brought the markets down? If you were a day trader and you could buy low before it got corrected and it comes back up or something like that, maybe you could try to make some money. But what are the chances that you heard about this like just at the right time to take advantage of that trend when new news is priced into the markets within microseconds? Like, you know, the book Flash Boys by Michael Lewis we've talked about before. A big part of that book was spending hundreds of millions of dollars to get land rights for a straighter fiber optic cable between New York and Chicago to take microseconds off that transfer time so they could get in those trades faster. You're not going to compete with that. We're not going to, like, that's not the game that you want to be playing.
Even if you're trading on the fake news or real news,
right.
And like, if it turns out to be real, because how many times have we seen a company release bad news and their stock price goes up because it wasn't as bad as the general investment population was expecting? And by the way, you know, when you found out it wasn't as bad as they thought it was going to be, only after the earnings report and the stock going up. They don't have a poll of all these people buying the stock and they go, oh, you know, it turns out it wasn't as bad as they thought because the stock went up. It's like, no, they found out it wasn't as bad as they thought because the earnings report was released. That some of this new news and information doesn't even happen until after the information is released. And then they talk about it like we knew all along. It's no different than selling Tesla because of this video. I heard it on my financial advisor's podcast. Yeah, they don't know if it's true, but if it is, it's going to really hurt Elon. And it would. And we shouldn't make an investment decision off that because the fact that it would hurt Elon doesn't mean it would hurt Tesla. And the fact that it would hurt Elon, and I'm sorry to say this, but there are all kinds of things that might turn out to be true. Now we're using Elon Musk as our avatar right now, but let's say there is something really, really horrible that's true about him. He could also be 100% true and not get in trouble and never get punished for it, and therefore never make the stock move that you thought for sure would happen because of this thing that actually turned out to be true. And so you just can't trade on news, fake or otherwise. That is what should be on the thumbnail for this video, Corey. you just can't trade on news. You have to make sure you have a disciplined approach. And what I would check is like, if you don't have an answer for what do I do if the market goes down 10%, what do I do if the market goes up 10%? What do I do if interest rates change? If you don't have an answer to all those questions, work those out with your advisor in advance to put yourself in the position that you're reacting to known potential outcomes, not reacting to the feelings of the news. Because making decisions based upon how we feel without grounding is one of the quickest ways that untruth can slip into our decision-making processes. Right. So we just have to scratch the surface and interrogate reality enough to say, wait, does this affect my investment philosophy, this new piece of news that may be real or may not be real, really impact my overall financial well-being? Like something might affect a single stock price really badly for 2 years, but I need to invest for 50 more. And so if I'm going to invest for 50 more years, what one stock is going to get impacted, even if it comes from on high, that God Almighty himself lifts up the edge of my roof right now and tells me this stock is in this booming voice that nearly deafens me. This stock is going to this price in 2 years. Even if I know that one and I know that absolute price, I can make profit from it one time and I still have 50 years of investing. So I still can't abandon my investment philosophy for the rest of my life, even if I have stock tips from God Almighty himself. And that's why for all of us out there, we just have to make investment decisions based upon principles and philosophy, not based upon news and feelings, because the news is going to be fake if it's not already. And our feelings are not going to be well-grounded assessments. We need to make sure our feelings are justified and grounded before we act on them. So with that, Corey, anything else you want people to be left with today in this enormously dystopian future we have painted, where people are not going to be able to literally trust what they see with their own eyes?
Right. So I just have to talk about why I think this video isn't real. Like I'm watching it and my skepticism is high for a few different reasons. One, Elon Musk doesn't have to just sit around texting back randos that DM him on Twitter. Now, that might be his plan for boosting the stock price.
That is the actual, that him DMing back a rando is the most believable part to me so far.
Right. I know. Like I actually do think he would do that. But the voice, switching to a voice memo, taking the time to like record that. And I mean, this is going to be kind of weird, but with the stuff about billionaires and trafficking, like the Jeffrey Epstein stuff, if he was doing that, which he may, I don't know if he is, but
there's no record of him on the flight logs.
Right. Well, he could have got his own way there. I don't know.
He dug a tunnel.
He
took a Tesla.
I just have a hard time believing he would be that incautious. And finally, because this is all on Twitter, he's not going to try to bribe the guys over Twitter. He's going to use his Twitter access to geolocate like their IP address or something there, and then send the guys to talk to them. Yeah, like it's just the way that progressed doesn't make any sense if you're Elon Musk.
Well, and I think you do make a good point, Corey, and this is something that's important, whether it's news that maybe is reported in a limited way, meaning not full context, or it might be fake altogether. One of the biggest things to watch for is it a little too on the nose? You know what I mean? Like, oh, a billionaire. Like if it's a little too like, this just totally meets the conspiracy theory that I might hold, is like, if it's too on the nose, I actually ought to investigate further. And on something like this one, it's easy.
Oh, yeah.
Not going to change my investment decision. Not going to change anything I do. Like I could just sit back and for like 6 months, like, is there ever another news story about this? And if there's not, next. I didn't have to waste a second of time on it.
If you just think that you got rid of incriminating evidence by deleting your chat trail, you don't then also say, ha ha, the proof is gone, where they can now record that as like evidence that you had something to hide.
Yes. But now keep in mind, the people that are going to be most susceptible to this would be somebody that think Elon Musk is an idiot. He's socially awkward. He's blah, 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 blah. And whatever they have, and then they have something negative that then this lands on. And now, fortunately, this is not anybody pitching a security. But we've talked about like these real estate syndicates and how they have all these glowing reviews and everything else. And it's like those testimonials could be inaccurate. The philosophy could be inaccurate. The videos of how the property is progressing could be inaccurate. Like there is a whole new realm that we have to be aware of. And everybody's talking about AI like, oh, it's going to take our jobs. It's going to do this. It's going to do that. It's like, it's also going to give a lot of people inappropriate decision-making fuel.
Right. Yeah. AI doesn't have to steal our jobs to take our money. There's a lot of other ways that it can mess with our finances. Totally.
That's right. Well, good. Well, for all of you out there, here's what we'd have you keep in mind. Don't trust the news for your investment decisions. Get a good coach. Get somebody you can have conversations with where you can test different strategies and possibly be making decisions from the standpoint of philosophy and well-grounded assessments, not based upon feelings and what we see in the news, because what we see in the news in the years to come is likely to be more convincing and less accurate than ever. And here at Sound Financial Group, we hope that this episode has been a contribution to you being able to design and build a good life.